Hi, how are you? That's not good. I know, but it's not holding. Good morning. Can you hear me okay? All right. I think this mic is not really, is it? It's only for this, it's for the streaming. Okay, so I'll just talk loud, but it's for the streaming. So good morning. I'm Steve Sorovic, if you haven't figured that out yet. I I think this is the third meeting we've had like this since I've been here at least, um, and I think I always give you an update on my living situation. So I'll I'll give you that. We did finally buy a house. I think I told you that last time. It's up near Gibsonia, so it's in the North Hills. So I know that upsets two-thirds of you, but um, it's sort of between Gibsonia and Cranberry, and and the good news is we also sold our house in Harrisburg. So we're not carrying two mortgages, thank God. And all of our stuff is now moved here, and I've got cardboard boxes arriving on my porch every day. So my wife's getting very friendly with the FedEx and the UPS guys. She apparently didn't think the stuff that we were moving from Harrisburg was good enough, so she's finding new stuff to buy, and we've got a guy right now literally up remodeling something in the house. I'm not really sure what. Literally today they're there. So for those of you who cared about that, that's the update. Just wanted to provide a couple things, and then I'll turn it over to the folks at the panel here, just to give you some updates from their respective areas. But I just wanted to talk about a couple things. First, I wanted to give you an update on the Cecil and David Rosenthal Fund and everything that's been going on. I think the last time we met, it was before the Tree of Life tragedy, and I'm not going to go over everything all over again, but and you've been sort of following all the things that we've been doing and all the family work that we've been doing with the family. Just want to give you an update on that. We started getting a bunch of unsolicited donations immediately afterward, and they just started showing up, and it accumulated, and the board of trustees decided to protect that money, and they decided to create a fund. So it's called the Cecil and David Rosenthal Memorial Fund, and we haven't really done a lot to. We did finally do a press release saying that we had this fund, and that's where the money was going and what it was going to be used for. Dave Tinker just said it's up to $105,000 with about 700 individual donors. So we haven't really had to do a lot to create interest in that. People just have been sending money, and like I said, the board of trustees decided to put it in a fund. The fund will go towards helping people with intellectual and developmental disabilities engage in their community, and it's kind of broad, but we're working with the family. Michelle and Diane Rosenthal have been wonderful in terms of working with us and sort of blessing what we're doing and helping us figure out how to use the money. The board also created a Cecil and David Rosenthal Community Award. So every year we have our award ceremony, and so now we have another award that we will be giving out in their memory, and it's to give to a person with an intellectual disability who basically by virtue of how they engage their community, and the community kind of engages them back and welcomes them back. It's sort of a mutual reciprocal relationship. That's really what that award will be for. So as you go through the year, if you see someone who lives their life the way Cecil and David lived their life, please let us know at some point when we go out with the award nominations. Please nominate someone, there's a $1,000 gift that will go to the winner, and that will be announced in December, and that money will come out of the fund as well. So I just wanted to give you an update on that. I can tell you the family is very much appreciative of how Achieva has handled the entire situation. I got a call from Mrs. Rosenthal just a couple weeks ago, just kind of out of the blue. She was very, very heartfelt thanks and appreciation for just how we handled everything. You know, Chris, you and your team have done a great job, and Lisa, you and your communications team have done a great job, in addition to everybody else. But I just wanted to mention that because it's kind of out there, and I want to make sure people are aware of what we're doing and what we're not doing, and trying to just do everything we can to honor Dave and Cecil the way they deserve to be honored. So just want to give you that update. The other thing I wanted to talk about is our strategic visioning process. People are always kind of wondering, what is that, and how does it affect me? Every good organization has to have a strategic plan and a sort of a strategic vision. We are operating under one currently that goes through June of 2019. So we have a 3-year plan that's ending in a couple of months. The board decided, okay, rather than wait till that one's over, we're going to get a head start. We're going to start looking at how to craft our next plan. And really a strategic vision or a strategic planning document is really about what we want to do for the future, how we want to plan for the future, what the organization, what we want it to be, and what we're going to do to get there. So the Board of Trustees created a committee. The committee had representatives from each of the boards, and the 5 of us up here are on that committee as well. And it's been a really nice process. We've had an external facilitator that we brought on. She's a parent. She's worked in Pennsylvania in numerous disability-related functions, and really had a good familiarity with what we did with Pennsylvania and the disability issues that we're all dealing with. So we've been doing focus groups. We've been doing research, study, looking at data, surveys. There was a focus group done with several staff. And we were getting really good information. And really where we are now is the committee will craft and develop 5 or so strategic priorities out of all the information they've gleaned. And those are just kind of broad strokes, like what are the 5 things we really want to focus on moving forward. And then the executive team will be working on what are the specific things we want to do to pursue and achieve those broad strokes. So over the next couple of months, you're going to be seeing probably toward the end of June or so, when the board finally considers what the team comes up with and what the committee comes up with, the Board of Trustees will then approve that, hopefully in June, and then you'll start seeing implementation plans to move forward. I'm not going to, I think there'll be some really interesting things. I think there'll be some interesting priorities and focus and emphasis being placed on certain things. I don't think you're going to see like wholesale changes. It's not like we're going to go from what we're doing today to something completely different tomorrow. But it's a way to really focus and prioritize. And I always say if you have too many priorities, you really have no priorities. So this is really a way to really focus us on what are the things that we really want to do to position us to meet the future. I can say, kind of kicking, some themes that keep coming up. Things like making sure we stick to our roots around advocacy, around lifelong supports. Really looking at person-centeredness. That's come up almost everything we've done in terms of focus groups and staff discussions. Person-centeredness really seems to come up all the time, and we all think we do that, but I think we can do it even more and better. So I think that's probably going to be something that the committee comes up with to really focus on more. Technology, a lot of things around technology, and I'm not a techie, but there's all kinds of things we could be doing more of around technology to make us not just better administratively, but how people can live their lives in a more independent, self-determined way with technology. sort of the usual things around fundraising, public awareness, community engagement, diversity, really looking at both diversity from a leadership perspective, but diversity in terms of reaching underserved populations that heretofore maybe we haven't reached, those kind of things. A couple of things are blanking right now, but those are just some themes that are kind of coming up. So I don't want to get it out in front of the committee, but if you see some things around those kind of areas, don't be surprised. I think it's been a really good process so far. We've really learned a lot, and I think some things are shaping up real nicely. So hopefully next couple of months you'll start hearing about more specificity, and after the June meeting, we'll share everything with you. We'll tell you what the board came up with, the priorities and the initiatives that we're going to be coming up with to pursue. So just want to give you an update on that. And the only other thing I think I was going to mention before I turn it over to Nancy is just communications. Oh, and one of the things that comes up I completely glossed over. Retaining and rewarding really good staff. That's probably something you probably wanted to hear. That comes up all the time in the strategic planning process that we're undertaking. So what the magic is to be able to do better at what we're doing. It's a tough industry in terms of being able to attract and retain staff. I think RCPA and PAR put out a report that says DSPs, we have like a 38 statewide, like a 38% turnover rate. That is no way to serve people when you have that much turnover. And I think we do better than that, but we can always find ways to be more innovative, to attract good people and to keep good people over the long term. I know if I was being supported, I wouldn't want a revolving door in terms of the person that was doing things with me and for me, and some things very personal and intimate in nature. So we really need to do more around that. I know Gary's going to be talking about some things that we're working on, but that has come up in the strategic planning process. Shifting to the last thing I want to talk about, just communication in general. I know we heard from our staff focus group and some of the surveys that we took, where we asked people to complete. Communication comes up a lot. I think that's a thing that we're always going to be striving to do better at. I don't think you're ever going to crack the code on that because our staff are so diverse, and some people are working in homes that might not see other people very often. We've got people here in Pittsburgh. We have people in Westmoreland County. We have people in Beaver County. We have a staff that's really diverse, and so doing things like this, we're going to try to keep doing that to improve the back and forth communication, making sure you're aware of what's going on. We've got the email, we've got the Facebook workplace. Use it if you're not using it. It's a good way to get information and to share information with other people. We just got to find new ways to constantly increase our information exchange. But Lisa and her team's doing a nice job. She listed a couple things, and it's easy to forget all the things that we're doing. We have the internal connector newsletter. We have the social media, the Facebook workplace, as I mentioned. We have the summer newsletter. We have an annual report that comes out that gives a lot of good information. We have our website. We have the all-staff meeting that we're doing now. Email. I try to put out a monthly message in the internal newsletter. I know not everybody reads it. That's fine. I'm not offended, but I always say at the end, if you got constructive questions or comments, please feel free to email me. I'm happy to take information and questions. I'll do the best I can to get back to you. But don't ever hesitate. Every job I've had, I've done that, and this is the one place where I've gotten the fewest emails, to be perfectly honest with you. And I don't know why. Sometimes I like to believe that everything's great, and so there's nothing to really tell me about. But if you're ever hesitant to email me or call me or stop in my office, please don't be hesitant. I enjoy talking and hearing things, and if it's a good thing, great. If it's a not so good thing, that's fine too, because we can't fix things if we don't know about them. So please email me, call me, visit me. And that's just one way to communicate. But we're going to always try to do better. So if you have ideas on how we could be doing things better, please let us know. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nancy, and I think everyone's got to come up here and use the microphone so people who are watching the live stream can actually hear us. So Nancy, I'll turn it over to you.
So everybody go back to your office and send Steve an email and keep him busy for the rest of the day. Yeah. So let me start by talking about the governor's budget. In some ways, it's a good budget for us. In other ways, it could be a little bit better. The budget contains about $15 million in state funds for the waiting list. Currently, there are still about 13,000 people with intellectual disabilities on the waiting list in Pennsylvania. The governor's budget, as I said, contains about $15 million in state funds. We're going to match it with almost the same amount in federal dollars. So we'll have an additional $30 million for the waiting list for next year. That's to serve an additional 765 people who are already on the waiting list, on the emergency list, and 100 people who have unanticipated emergencies. And every year across the state, I see people shaking heads, right? We know these families are people that we either don't know, they're not even on the list today, or we know something about them, and during the year, more than likely, their last remaining parent dies, and there is an unanticipated emergency. Early intervention, we're Sharon. Finally, after 8 years, the budget contains 10 years, a authorization for about $5 million for early intervention. That'll be matched by another $1.8 million in federal dollars. We hope that this is the first year of many years where we can convince the legislators to continue to increase funding for early intervention. Special education, there is a proposal for an additional $50 million for special education. Employment, a 5% increase in the Office of Vocational Rehabilitations. Something Steve neglected to mention, I'll mention it here, is that Steve has been appointed to be a co-chair of the new Employment First Oversight Commission. Since he was responsible for actually writing the Employment First legislation, it's only right that he should be one of the co-chairs. Mary Hartley, also from Allegheny County, many of you know Mary, she used to work here, is the other co-chair. And this will significantly move Pennsylvania forward in the whole area of employment for people with intellectual disabilities and autism. State centers, not as much progress on state centers as I would like to see. The proposed budget only contains funding for an additional 25 people to leave the state centers. As of a month ago, there are still 739 people living in our remaining 4 state centers, and we are working vigorously to urge Governor Wolf and the legislature to close them. Last but not least, the one place in the governor's budget where we did not see any movement is on the salary and benefit issue for our direct support professionals. And this is an area where we're going to continue to work with RCPA, with the ARC of Pennsylvania, and other organizations. Yesterday I met with Representative Sarah Innamorato, one of Allegheny County's new representatives. She specifically asked me about this issue. So we know that it's something that legislators across the state know that this is an area where we need to see some additional funding in the governor's budget. Three other things I just want to let you know about. Thanks to Melissa Skiffin in the Westmoreland office, one of our advocates. She is starting a family support group for our young families in early intervention and preschool, and we hope to be able to expand that to other families. Where's Julie? Julie Turbovich is starting a self-advocacy group. First meeting is next week for young adults with intellectual disabilities who would like to learn more about how to advocate for themselves and how to get involved with systemic advocacy. Hopefully some of them will want to come out and talk to legislators with me. And I want to let you know that we're going to be spending a lot of time in Harrisburg again this spring and early summer. Our first event is in 2 weeks. We are going to be joined by other healthcare advocates and dentists, and we're working on expanding the adult Medicaid dental benefit. I'm sure many of you know adults who rely on Medicaid whose benefits were severely cut a couple of years ago, and we're working with the Department of Human Services, Office of Medical Assistance Programs, and legislators to try to get those benefits reinstated, because each year we see an increase in the number of people presenting in emergency rooms for dental issues that could have been taken care of much more easily, much more efficiently, and much less costly in a regular dentist's office. So if you have any questions about the governor's office, if you would like to go out and talk to your state representative or state senator, and I know many of you do every year, come see me and I will give you all the information that you need. Thanks.
I guess it's my turn, so we'll go over some things. All right. Okay, a couple things to go over with you. Steve touched on some things. It's that time of year again, and I know you're all starting to look at budget, or several are looking at budget, so it's that time where we go through the process with our boards and committees. We met with the Finance Committee last night who approved basic budget assumptions. Just a guideline we use to start putting the budget together. Monday night, we're going to all the boards to get them to approve those as well. So a couple key items in there probably you do want to hear about, and Steve touched on it a little bit. One of the things that's always in there is compensation, right? So one of the things we're doing as part that has come up as part of the strategic vision is we're undertaking, Roma's undertaking with the rest of us, looking at a compensation strategy. What does that really mean? We've had salary increases, we've had bonuses over the years, but we really wanted to take a better look and a more definitive look of what can we be looking at on a compensation strategy. We did some meetings with our executive team, and we came up with some items that we thought should be included. And compensation, as you know, is only one element of recruitment and retention. It's one element. I know program works on things with retention, and we need to do things like that. But compensation is obviously one of the keys for recruiting quality staff. So some of these ideas come out with some of the elements we're going to look at. We're looking to include some hopefully in the 1920 budget. Some of them may be phased. We may have to phase them in over a few years if it takes that. So we're looking to make that commitment. Some of the things we're talked about is, and I'll start with a question we got. One of them was weekend coordinators. Why do we look at salary with that when it's this kind of job and that kind of job? That is going to be one of the things we look at, like a shift differential, for example, or differentials in general, shift being one of them. Late shifts, we're 24/7, right? So people work not standard Monday through Fridays, daylight hours. So what can we look at for shift differentials? Can we put an additional amount per hour for working a second shift or for working weekends as a way to, again, attract and retain quality staff? Looking at potentially task differentials. By that I mean if there's something with a significant behavior, or we've talked about things like tube feeding, can we put a differential on that per hour because of the needs that are done there? Some of the other things we talked about as elements are looking at longevity. We've heard, hey, we've had staff, we have our annual staff recognition. We have a lot of people that hit that 5, 10, 15, 20, and we want to continue that and make that larger. So what can we look at for longevity? Is it something we build in, or is it some kind of reward we provide when you hit milestones? Looking at certain certifications or degrees or qualifications, can we do something with that? Looking at relevant experience. If you've been somebody who's been in the field, has relevant experience, you're coming here, maybe we reward that because that automatically puts you potentially a step up because you have that experience in working. You may not need the level of training that somebody new coming into the field might need. So those are some of the things. Another one might be targeting certain salaries. We're looking at how competitive we are in the marketplace. How do we stack up against our competitors? If a particular position looks to be low, we may address that with a targeted increase so that it becomes more competitive again, so we can attract good quality staff. So those are some of the things we're looking at, and that's in works. You know, I'm kind of happy to say we're doing that. I think it's something that's going to be good for the organization on a long-term basis. So that's underway. The other one that probably affects you the most is healthcare, right? Everybody worries about the healthcare as we move forward, and it's something you hear about in the news all the time anyways, healthcare. So we're already starting to work with our vendors. We have a meeting, I think, scheduled here this week, actually, to meet with our vendors. It's about that time of year we look at it. And I can tell you our goal every year is the same goal. Can we continue to provide the most robust healthcare package that we can at the best cost that we can for the organization and for employees? I mean, that's the goal every year. We've done a pretty good job. Our healthcare package, and we verified this through our brokers and some others, is very strong out there. I know when you have to use it and you have deductibles, I understand it's a cost, but compared to what a lot of people pay, it's a pretty robust plan out there. Some of the changes we made last year, hopefully were well received. From what we hear, they were. We put in My UPMC, which kind of reduced some deductibles for people if they were able to do it and it fit their needs, and also reduce some costs for employees. We're going to continue to look at those things. We go into the meetings every time with the goal of hopefully not increasing it and keeping the same coverages. Sometimes we have to put my bad cop hat on and threaten them and all that good stuff. We'll do that as we go through that meeting, but that's fine. So we're going to do that and continue to do that. So look for further updates. We'll communicate them as they come out. But we were pretty pleased with last year. Hopefully we can do something similar or keep that same thing. Because we do know that healthcare is very important. You get these doctors. We've had UPMC now for several years. We're not looking to disrupt your healthcare or your doctor relationships or things like that. But we look at it as an overall picture. So hopefully we can do that and come back with good news there. Another effort going on is actually, again, in HR. We engaged a company called Blitz Media. And, again, it's an effort. This company's coming in. It's actually a father and son company. And they're and they're tailored, and they focus on organizations who do services like us for intellectual and developmental disabilities. And they come in and they analyze our recruitment practices. They look at our applications. They look at our website. They look at all kind of different things as part of what we're doing. And again, it's just an effort to enhance what we're doing and hopefully get more and continued qualified staff into the organization. So I at least wanted to mention that. And I do this when new orientation. I said, like all good nonprofits, we do fundraising, right? So we have fundraising events. So to give you updates on that, we have the auction coming up. Jody's first year doing this, and we have many of you in the room volunteer for that, and we appreciate that. But that's probably our biggest fundraiser of the year. That's actually next Saturday down at the Westin. So we raise probably on average around $200,000 at that event. So we appreciate people's support over those times, volunteering. Some people have given wine for the wine basket. We appreciate all your support. The Highmark Walk, May 11th. Several have walked, and several have participated, in particular with the fundraising efforts that all you guys do for the Highmark Walk. And I think all of us here look forward to those. So we've had chili cook. I'm not going to name them all. We've had chili cook. We've had all kind of stuff. So we appreciate your efforts on the Highmark Walk to help us with fundraising there. The golf outing comes up in August. So we have that, and many volunteer for that, and we appreciate it. Some employee events, just to reiterate, we got Kennywood coming up June 8th, and if you haven't been there, it's a great time. Lunch is provided. It's $28 for the ticket for the day. Even if you can't go that day, you can still buy the ticket and use it on another day. So please feel free to partake of that. And we're having a Pirates game again, $23 per ticket, and on August 17th against the Cubs. And my understanding is it's all you can eat popcorn, peanuts, and soft drinks as part of the package. So that's pretty good. The other thing, I get to answer a few of your questions. As part of this, we always get the questions, so I'll try to do my best to answer them. So one of the questions was, replace the water cooler in the lunchroom. So I actually talked to Tanya this morning about that. She's been off for a couple weeks with surgery, but she has contacted them, and we are, in fact, in that process, either replacing, cleaning, or doing something to that water cooler. So rest assured that's being done. In a similar vein, we had a question about the vending machine. I've heard it's called the Wheel of Death, but I won't go there. And I don't buy milk, so I had to go back and actually look. Apparently, it's not real clean. So, and I went back and I agree with you, it's not real clean. So we will be hitting them up as well for that in general, that and some other issues. One of the things I did want to mention though about that is if you see that kind of stuff, you don't have to wait for a forum like this. Get to Tanya, either email her, call her, do something, let her know if you see something in the building, or since we're streaming to others, if there are issues in your facilities, buildings, make sure you use the work order system or let people know so we can address things that are out there. So I make that general comment. A couple other ones real quick. We had a question about why do some departments have to punch in and why do others not? We've answered that before, but we'll go there again. Really, it's up to the VP of the department. If they feel that that's in the best interest of their operation, then they have the latitude to require that you punch in and you punch out as your time. It's not meant to discriminate. It's not meant to put people on the spot. It's the needs of the department, and those are the ones charged with it, and that's the way it's been set up. Departments can or can't do it, as I said, so if they feel that that's important for that, they can do that as one of the options we have in PAYCOM. And then lastly, we had a question that came around starting times. Obviously, program has its schedules and its needs in the 24/7 and the facilities there. I think the question was meant for the administrative building, so I'll answer it in that way. What is the latest starting time that people have, and does everyone work 7.5, 8 hours? Well, it's a similar answer, and I think we've answered that also. We have, at least here in this building, and I think somewhat in Westmoreland, flexible starting times. And it's backed, and I think it's a benefit that people here enjoy because each has different needs. And if it works in your department, that's great. Again, it's tasked to those VPs in the departments if it works for them and they can do it. And they're also charged with monitoring it. So they are to ensure that people work what they need to work, be when they need to be at work, and make sure that that happens. So the supervisors are designated, or the people, that's who are charged with it. If you think there's an abuse or you think there's somebody not doing what they need to do, then we have an ethics hotline. Put a phone call in and we'll investigate it if you think somebody's not working and getting paid. So those are the questions that I had, and I think we answered them there. So I'll turn it over to, I think it's Reed next.
Is there still food? I didn't. I want to give you a brief overview of the service and supports within Achieva Support. Under employment supports, Eric Welsh and his staff, Jody and Marty and Becky, have been really busy in terms of, if you may not know, we closed the Strip District plant in December, which all those folks who were receiving services there have either moved on to employment services, small group employment, community participation. You probably see some of the people here stopping and then going out into community participation. Some individuals have also gone to the Regis plant. So as far as what we're doing now within the Strip District plant is cleaning the plant out, because Oxford Development will be taking that over later on this spring. As Steve alluded to the strategic vision, one of the things that Employment Services is going to be working on is business as a customer. Typically, the way we do business right now is we would get a referral for someone who's interested in a competitive job. We would find out what that person's skills are. We would then go out and solicit and develop a job with a company or with a business. We would provide the training, and then we would provide the follow-along. We're going to flip it the other way, where we're going to go into a business and talk to the business. What are your needs? What are you looking for in an employee? What types of jobs do you have? And then we're going to solicit among whoever who has a disability to fill that need for that business. It's kind of, we're currently doing that with Giant Eagle, where we have a staff person, Melissa Hall, who's embedded in Giant Eagle, looking at all the job descriptions, looking at all the types of opportunities there may be for people with disabilities, and then filling that through either Achieva or some other agency who may have individuals to meet that business need. Under residential, we're rebranding the name of residential. Chris Schoaf and her staff are working on rebranding the plan with communications department and renaming residential services and being called community supported living. Community homes will be called community living. Supportive lifestyles, which are individuals who live in apartments, would be called supported living. Life Sharing, which is a program where we have families who take individuals in non-related and becoming part of that family unit would still remain as life sharing. And then our parenting education program would be called Parenting Support. We're moving more into a community type effort. It's kind of running along the same lines as home and community supports that Michelle Stakunas oversees. And eventually things are going to become more and more similar. I'd also like to recognize, because last week we had a situation within residential, Josie Kalinowski, who is a direct support professional at our Quail residential program. There were 2 staff that were working. The other co-worker collapsed, had a seizure, stopped breathing. Josie stepped right in and started performing CPR compression with that co-worker until medical help arrived. She was taken to the hospital. I'm happy to report that she's doing much better now and is ready to come back to work. But when we all talk about random acts of kindness, our staff, we're all kind of a family, and we all look out for one another. And I think in Josie's case, her reaction and providing the necessary care for this other coworker is greatly appreciated. Under Home and Community Supports, Michelle Stakunas and her staff have been working with families in Warren County. So we're looking at providing home of my own supports up there, as well as in-home supports in Warren. We're also developing programs through employment and home and community supports in Beaver County. We have a couple family sessions and individual sessions set up later this month on the 26th at Penn State Beaver campus, as well as on the 28th of March, meeting with families and individuals at our Beaver office at the Beaver Valley Mall. Early intervention, Sharon Green and her staff has started books at birth at Forbes Regional Hospital in Monroeville, and that's continuing with grant money that we received from AJ Palumbo Foundation. 150 books are being distributed at Forbes Regional. The next phase, we would like to look at West Penn NICU in terms of providing books there, and that would be funded through the Allegheny County Medical Society Foundation. As Nancy had mentioned, that Julie's been working, or not Julie, but Michelle out in, it's not Michelle, Melissa. Sorry, Melissa, if you're watching, is providing a support group for families in preschool readiness. And I think, as Steve was talking about with some of the focus groups that we heard from the strategic vision sessions, we want to expand that to families who are in our early intervention program. A lot of families have great difficulty accepting the fact that they have a child with a delay, and what type of support could we provide that family, as well as our Pittsburgh office here with preschool readiness. The last thing I had is we had joined the National Association of Direct Support Professionals, Achieva Support has. So all staff are registered within the National Direct Support Professional Association. This association, I think, is going to help us greatly in terms of training for staff. There's a blog that's on there that staff can take part in, and it's national. The whole purpose of the National Association of DSPs is to help staff and help the system realize that DSPs is a profession. It's not just some caretaker job, but it's a profession. And I think we need to start internally looking at it that way as well, because that's going to help greatly in terms of our recruitment and our retention. So staff have all gotten, the National Association of DSPs got all of our email from all the employees, our email address. Please go into your email, look at it. You'll be getting a password. All direct support professionals, as well as mid-management staff, supervisors, program specialists, Shane, myself, and all the other VPs are also registered in there. Go in there and start looking, because there's some valuable information in there. The National Association of DSPs also wants to start looking at credentialing. And I think it's important for us to really start centering in on that. It'll probably be part of our strategic vision, I would assume, as part of recruitment and retention? And then what types of incentives do we build into that for staff in taking part in those trainings? So that's all I have. Thank you.
For those who may not know me, I'm Amy Dolan Strano, president of Achieva Family Trust, and just wanted to give you a few updates of what's going on at Achieva Family Trust and what we're doing and what we're working on. There's been a lot of talk this morning about Achieva's strategic vision and strategic planning, but it's important to know that the Family Trust, although we're part of Achieva and glad to be, we have some unique needs and goals. And so in 2015, we launched a strategic plan for the growth and expansion of Achieva Family Trust. And we're on track, ahead in some areas with what we've done with growth and expansion. A couple areas that I want to highlight. In 2017, we opened a office in Erie, and we have a full-time staff, regional trust liaison based in Erie, and that's been working very well for us, and we continue to explore some opportunities up in the Erie. When I say Erie, it's, Mary, correct, 12 counties. I mean, it's a broad service area, but we call it the Erie region. In 2018, we opened an office in the Philadelphia area because of the density of the counties out there. Our regional trust liaison out that way is responsible for 5 counties, but she has the ability to go further if needed. I think that my staff were pleased to hear that in 2019 there were no plans to open a new office. Instead, we are focusing on some infrastructure and some customer service goals to be able to continue to meet the needs of our trust beneficiaries and our families. So we'll be working on that in 2019. But also looking ahead to the future, we do want to have some other locations throughout Pennsylvania. We'll be exploring possibilities in central PA region and also northwest PA. One of the other things that we have recently done along the lines of growth and expansion is we have a partnership with the Duckworth-Hagerty Group of Merrill Lynch. And what that started in October of 2018, and we now have 5 open trust accounts with them being the investment manager, and we are serving as the corporate trustee. And these are a little different than the trusts that we've been serving as corporate trustee for the past 21 years. What's different about them? These are higher value trusts. They are individually managed by the Duckworth Group as far as the investments. And most importantly, they have sought us out for our expertise and the social services that our staff, our trust administrators, bring to the table. They sought us out probably about 7 years ago, and it's taken a while to get the relationship in place and to do this right. And so it's been going well so far. In addition to the 5 open trusts, there's probably about 8 that are in the process of coming to us. And while we don't want to change our core, our existing relationship with PNC and Capital Group, who pool the assets of all of our beneficiaries, we certainly want to continue that, and we're working to grow and expand that. We see really unlimited potential for growth of the Family Trust through this partnership with the Duckworth Group of Merrill Lynch. Let's see. and just finally wanted to highlight a couple education and outreach events that we have coming up. Again, as part of our strategic plan, there was an education and outreach department that was created, and those folks are busy. You know, when I look at the list of all of the presentations, the activities that we're doing, we're out in the community, and not just Western Pennsylvania, but now we're spending some time in Erie. There's a presentation in April with the link up in Erie, and you know, trying to spread the word about the services that we provide to families and professionals up in that area. That's on April 16th. We have a presentation that we're working on in May in Boardman, Ohio, working with an autism provider to put together a program, again, to help educate families on future planning. Because we see the need for that. We're hearing about the need and the potential for Achieve a Family Trust to help those families. If anyone has attended or watched the webinars of our speaker series, we bring in some phenomenal speakers, recognized professionals in the community. We have one coming up actually tomorrow here in this room on financial planning. And then our final session for this series will be April 12th on Special Needs Trust and ABLE accounts. So, you know, you're certainly welcome to attend with permission from your supervisor, but all of these are archived on our website, and, you know, we encourage you to watch those to continue, you know, your education about some of the important issues and topics out there. And finally, after we end one speaker series, we immediately start planning ahead for the next session. And so we welcome any suggestions for topics and speakers, things that you think that families or professionals, you know, might want to hear about. So that's a little bit of what goes on the second floor.
So as you can see, a lot's going on. You're obviously all involved with all of that. You know, there was a couple things that were specifically mentioned throughout the presentations. You know, the residential going through their rebranding and their person-centered focus. Home and community supports, planting a flag in Warren County. Looking forward to that. I want to take over Warren County. Why not? Because I feel like if we're delivering good services and people want our services, we should go wherever they are, and if it means going up to Warren County, so be it. I think we should go. I think we should go anywhere that people want our services. Early intervention, doing the parent support initiative. I think that was great. I sat in on the focus group where that issue actually came up, and I'm really glad we're pursuing something without even waiting for the strategic plan to come into place. The employment, the business as a customer, that's going to be a big deal. I have high hopes for that. It's going to take, I think, a while to get established and get our reputation out there, but we just had a meeting with UPMC, for example. There's nothing finalized with them yet, but it was a positive meeting, and they were very interested in what we were doing with Giant Eagle. So I hope that really goes somewhere. I know we don't mention, you know, like finance. I know we've been going through a lot of things with CPS billing. So I know finance has done a lot of work with figuring out the billing around CPS and some of the services that we provided in the previous fiscal year. So I want to thank them. HR is doing a nice job. One thing we didn't mention, just as a reminder, we had a situation where an employee had suffered a serious injury, we instituted on the fly a leave donation program, and all of the employees really stepped up on that. We want to formalize that. It's not done yet, but there's no reason why we can't. So I'm really happy about that. I think Roman, you and your team have done a nice job researching that and making sure we stay out of trouble with the feds and the state. But we're going to formalize that policy so that when there's significant events in people's lives, other coworkers have the ability to donate either annual or sick time to help that person get through. The facilities management, you guys have done a nice job emptying out the strip district, and I know there's a lot of work involved with that, and there's all kinds of other things you guys work on. Rep Payee, it's a small unit, but they're looking at new federal law, federal requirements, new oversight that DRP is going to be undergoing. So I know they're looking at making sure that we're on board and up to par with our regulations and compliance. And development, obviously, Gary mentioned all the things going on under all the fundraising events and all the things we're doing there. We're doing a really nice job there. We mentioned family trust. We mentioned advocacy. We wouldn't have the EI 3% increase, I think, without Nancy Murray's work in terms of the systems advocacy and Sharon's work with the systems advocacy and advocating for that. But all the individual advocacy we've been doing, protective services out in Beaver County. There's a lot that's going on that you're in your unit, you're in your division, you're focused on it, but just know you're part of a much larger organization that is doing a lot of good things for a lot of good people, and we're all very busy, and we're all doing good stuff. I just want to thank you for all that, and the strategic visioning stuff is really about taking it to the next level. It's not about we're doing anything bad or wrong. In fact, we're doing great. All the meetings I go to in terms of the meetings and the colleagues I meet in the Pittsburgh area and statewide, I always say Achieve has a great reputation for innovation, for quality, and I never have really a chance except for these kind of opportunities to really tell you what I hear out there. I hear it all the time. Innovation, quality, great reputation, solid, great team, and I just want to convey that. And the strategic visioning is really about taking it to the next level, kind of kicking it up. So I just wanted to thank you. I know we've gone long on some of these meetings. I think we're going to hit today right on time, so you can all get back to work and do your good stuff. But thank you for being here, and thank you for the time, and for the folks in Beaver and folks in Westmoreland, and for whatever other sites you might be watching this at. Thank you for everything you're doing, and don't forget to email me. I'm going to expect a lot more emails now, and they could be good ones too. They don't have to be negative, but if there's negative ones, please feel free to let me know so we can look into things and correct things. Can't fix something if I don't know about it. So thank you again for being here today. We'll see you next time.